Hey guys, and welcome to part 4 of our Pacific Crossing series. So we had it almost too good as we sailed past the 1,000 mile mark since we left Mexico, but our luck was to turn as the weather totally deteriorated coming into the doldrums. Stay tuned as things go from bad to worse for us as we battle to get over the equator into the southern hemisphere. So I'm Colin, and this is the crew of Parlay Revival. From hurricane damaged to broken bulkheads, and getting struck by lightning not once but twice, to being the strongest and fastest Lagoon 450 on the planet. We are now ready to embark on a 3,000 mile journey across the Pacific Ocean to French Polynesia before continuing on with our circumnavigation. So subscribe to follow our journey around this beautiful planet. 20 years from now, you'll be more disappointed by the things you didn't do than by the things you did. So what are you waiting for? Okay, starting to get serious now. We've had 3 days basically of wing on wing, downwind, luxurious sailing. The wind has been about 10 knots apparent, and we've been doing roughly 7 knots. Just doing today's log. So far we have done 1,462 miles. Yesterday we had done 1,289 miles. So that's 173 miles in the last 24 hours. Divide that by 24 is 7.2 knot average. It's been great. It's been super comfortable. Everything's been absolutely amazing. Nothing has broken, touch wood. Well, that's not true. We did blow out the spinnaker in the first few days, but you get the idea. Couldn't have asked for a better last few days. But now we have entered the convergent zone, the doldrums. So it almost feels like the easy part is over, and now the challenging part today has begun. From now on, we're going to run out of sun. It's going to be cloudy a lot of the time, so running the water maker is going to be a problem. We've set ourselves a goal to try and get there without motoring at all. With the forecast, it could be possible. It could be very slow around the equator, but it could be possible. I think it'd be a huge accomplishment to go from Mexico to French Polynesia without using an engine for a single hour. But we may have to run the engine for power, because we've got the big alternator on the engine, and we could run the water maker while running that engine purely for electricity generation, not for propulsion. So we will not be counting that towards motoring to French Polynesia, but we're going to make a tally of how many hours we had to run the engine or the generator. We've got a little gas generator for power production. What else? How are the arms?
They're shaky.
This camera right here is super heavy, by the way. How are your arms going?
Ask me where the beach is. That way.
So as you can see, it's starting to get a little bit dark on the horizon there. I've found so far that the European model for weather, the ECMWF, has been the most accurate. But yeah, when we check the wind, let's go into the rain here. So pretty much now we're going to start experiencing some rain. You can see it. Rain's one thing, but squalls are another. So that's what we're looking out for. When we check the swell, the waves, it is coming at us on our beam, but soon as we go ahead, it's going to be straight on the nose. So that's going to become unpleasant as well. It's almost like all the elements are going to start to work against us a little bit here. Also look at the Cape, the CFPE, for the potential for lightning, but that actually looks pretty good right up until, it looks really bad around French Polynesia. But on this crossing we're not expecting too much lightning, but there's plenty of squalls around. So now we've got the radar. It's hopefully going to pick up those squalls. There'll be enough rain hitting the surface to reflect the radar and give us a patch on our display here, so we can zoom right out to 24 miles. It's pretty clear there now, so there's a lot of clouds, but not a lot of rain out there. Also, it's good to just be able to see boats at night. So we've got the dual screen set up, and let's try and get through the next few days. Stand by for some excitement.
The Intertropical Convergence Zone, commonly referred to as the doldrums, are where the trade winds in the northern and southern hemisphere meet around the equator. This is an area known for having little to no wind, and also a vastly increased chance of squalls. A squall is simply a very isolated storm which can have wind speeds double or even triple the normal trade wind speeds around it, and often come pouring down with rain. Our friends who have passed through this area have reported having to motor for days on end, with no wind and squalls surrounding them the whole time. It was safe to say that I was pretty nervous about what we were going to experience in the doldrums up ahead. As mentioned, the radar is going to help us spot them at night, but during the day they just appear as dark, ominous cloud formations in the distance, which should ideally be avoided, but if unavoidable, you should reef your sails accordingly beforehand. But of course, the radar is only effective if the watchkeeper knows how to use it, so we did a crew tutorial on the matter.
On the radar, this started to show up, this white target, and it was slowly heading this way. We're obviously heading this way, but when you see something like this at night in particular, in the daytime we can see that, it's just behind the sail there. Not too worried about it, but it's a good example because at night it's going to be pitch black out here. You hold your finger on it and you acquire target. Now the radar will start following that, plotting its course, and after a certain amount of time it'll tell you where it's going relative to us. So Colin's organising a game called Murder Mystery. I've never played it before, but we've had Super Yacht guests play it before. I don't even know the rules.
So Colin gave us a detailed description of the murder mystery rules, but basically you draw a crew member, a murder weapon and a location out of a hat, and you have to get that person with the weapon in the location that you pulled. The last one standing is the winner, but every time someone gets murdered they have to
be quiet, don't tell anyone, and give the person that killed you your papers, so then he has to now kill your person that you chose.
So, I have to kill Katie with a flashlight on the doggy mat. So, I think I have a plan of attack.
Alright, so the person I have is Colin, and I have to kill her with a tampon.
I got Brittany. Far out. I don't know what I'm going to do. I've got to get up on the solar panels and give her a spoon.
I got Vincy! And I have to somehow lure him to Stephen, the chosen one's bedroom, cabin, and murder him with a camera.
Morning everyone, we are fully in the doldrums now. Well, in the convergence zone. Right now we've got wind. It is just an absolutely different vibe than it has been for the last few days. Rain showers all around us, and last night, all night, it was rain showers, which we cautiously prepared for them to be squalls. And so kept bringing the sail in, sail out, sail in, sail out. All of them turned out to just be rain showers, but yeah, it's going to be a long few days. Now we've made a definitive turn to the south and we're beelining it for the equator, 392 miles to the equator. So it's the first time we've had the mainsail up since for about 3 or 4 days. So conditions are changing and we're adapting, but yeah. It's not a pleasant sight.
So literally overnight, we had gone from smooth sailing to an unpleasant climate inside the doldrums. But on top of the fact that it's physically unpleasant, we also run into major power issues when we don't have any sun. Although we have 1,000 amp hours of lithium batteries and 3 kilowatts of solar to charge them, they are only as good as the sun that's available to charge them. So with days on end of overcast weather and 8 crew consuming power at an alarming rate, we all of a sudden have to look at power management a lot closer. It's pretty eye-opening to think about how dependent we are on the sun, as well as the wind, to actually get us places. The relationship that sailors have with Mother Nature is crucial, but even Mother Nature can take its toll on some of our more land-loving crew members.
They're pruned. They've been wet for the past 6-7 hours. My skin's gonna start separating soon, so I've got my feet up and I'm trying to dry them out. Oh my god, they're like numb.
They look like trench foot.
They look like a brain.
So, as you've seen, we've had an absolutely horrible day of overcast, stormy, squally weather. And so our batteries have got 0% charge in them today. Well, 0% more. We've got two options right now. We can run the engine and the alternator will charge the batteries at around 150 amps. That's the new alternator system we got with our wake speed regulator from Battleborn. Or we can run this Honda generator and it will put about 150 amps. This is all at 12 volts into the battery bank. The reason we're opting to use the generator right now is because, close your ears Katie, but if the rig fell down or we were all of a sudden unable to sail, we want to be able to motor all the way to French Polynesia. We've got like 8 jerrys of gasoline. We can get tens of hours of charge out of that Honda without using any of our precious fuel that we've intentionally left full when we left Mexico in case we need to use it. So that's my train of thought. The only other time we might use the engine is if it doubles as propulsion. So if we actually are not moving anywhere, we're in the doldrums, we're stuck, we might turn the engine on so that we can propel the boat forward with it, but at the same time charge the battery. So it's getting 2 uses while it's running. So we're going to run this guy so we don't run out of power tonight. Okay, follow me. Now we're going to go inside. The generator is supplying 110 volts to the inverter, the multi-plus inverter. We're at 48% charge and we're draining at a rate of 30 to 40 amps. So every hour, that's how much it's going down. So we definitely need to put some charge in it before our evening watches. But so before I plug that in, I make sure that the inverter is on inverter only so that the generator doesn't get a kind of a shock. And then now that it's all warm and everything like that, I'll go here and I'll put it on to on. And you should hear a difference in the load and the tone of the generator as it starts to push 150 amps out of it. Okay, so right now that bad boy's working pretty hard. It's putting in 1600 watts of power through the inverter to charge the batteries. That's giving us a net gain of 80 amps, 81 amps into our battery bank. Our battery bank is 1000 amp hours. So if they were at 0%, that would take like 12 hours to charge using this method. Okay, we're in it. First proper squall, right on the French. See what happens. Could be 30 knots in here, maybe 40. It's gonna be a long few days. We're right on the cusp of it. We're not actually in it, to be honest. We seem to be slightly outrunning it, but it's gonna be like this all day by the looks of it. Look at this shit.
Katie, what happened?
I killed El Capitan with the E-verb.
How did you do it?
Just handed it to you.
She's
You
like,
just took it.
she had the camera and she's like, can you hold this? I want to take a photo. And I was like, she goes, you're dead. I'm like, what? So now she's got my one, and I've been dreading my one, so I'm kind of relieved because this is what I have to do.
No. What?
So last night we had fucking squalls like till 12 o'clock, get to sleep. 2 o'clock, woke up. Here, hold this, Jamie. And I think, well, I can't even remember what it was.
I was supposed to get Jamie in his bed with Lindo's bowl. And the only time Jamie's in his bed is when he's asleep. So I was gonna have to wake him up. There was no other way to get him. So I just took Lindo's bowl. It was dark. Shook Jamie. He was really tired. Felt terrible for picking him up. Woke him up and I said, Jamie, this just fell off the side of the boat. What is it? Handed it to him and he reached. He says, it's the dog's dish. And I said, you're dead. Go back to sleep.
I have found your grab bag. I've taken every single thing out of it and laid it out on the table. I know you went over this with us, but can you give me a little bit more? Can you give the people a little bit more understanding of why we have all this stuff?
So the grab bag's important because it's stuff that you're gonna grab right before you abandon ship. When you abandon ship, all of this disappears. So what you're left with in the life raft is all you have until you get rescued. Luckily on this boat we have so many different forms of communication, satellite communication, that I would put pretty serious money on the fact that we'd get rescued within a day, maybe 2 days. There are, if you look on AIS right now, there are a lot of vessels in the general area. Nothing really close to us, but everything within 6 to 12 hours. So the point of the communication devices that we have, there's probably 3 or 4 devices that can all put out an SOS signal. For example, the Garmin InReach, that's got the SOS button. The Iridium Go Exec has an SOS button. This is an EPIRB that alerts the rescue response teams. So once they get that, all of these things are linked to my name, my boat, my emergency contact details, all of that jazz, and there'll be a rescue response team coming after us shortly after that. So all of this, the communication side, makes me feel really good about the fact that we're prepared for an abandoned ship. And of course we've got our solar charger here with cables that we can charge any of this stuff.
In the grab bag we also have flares, which are very important, food, knives, electrolytes, mirrors, even a horn. So I think we're pretty damn well prepared for an abandoned ship scenario. What do you guys think? What else would you have in your grab bag?
Correct me if I'm wrong, I think it's about 11 days without eating. So, and it would do some of us a bit of good to not eat for 11 days. But, so I was never really worried about the food side. We can last a long time. The important thing is the water. Have to stay hydrated. So that's why we grabbed this bad boy. That's 20 liters of water, and that's gonna last us for days and days and days, even with 8 of us and 2 dogs. So I feel pretty good about all of that setup. So this is all gonna be in the grab bag. Grab that on the way out. The only person that can call abandoned ship is the master of the vessel, which happens to be me. So on my command, and it's only if we cannot save this vessel, we will abandon ship. I'm gonna go in the water with 2 life rafts and 2 dinghies. So again, we're very, very fortunate on this boat to have so much redundancy for safety. On the way out, we'll grab our medical kit, which is this bad boy. Obviously watertight, and this has pretty much anything we need for a medical emergency, and a few extra flares go in there, and then out the door we go. This stuff is all on top of the stuff that's already stuffed inside the life raft itself. So there's a kit that comes in the life raft that's got medical supplies, signaling mirrors, flares, more drinking water. It has its own little grab bag inside of it. So I feel like we're super well prepared for an abandoned ship procedure, and mainly because of our communication devices. Morning guys. So it was a rough night. 30 knots for over an hour. What did it feel like?
It felt like a hurricane.
And then it calmed down. So Steve and Colin's watch was nice. Jamie and Katie's watch was beautiful. Dave and Vince just had a nice sail coming into this shift, and now we're at 9 knots of apparent wind, doing 5.5 to 6 knots. Super nice and comfortable. But so I've just done my morning weather check, and I went on, and we're on the edge of sort of the doldrums, the proper like no wind, lots of storms, thunder, lightning, rain, all that jazz. And for a moment when I downloaded it, I thought, shit, we're about to have a day, 2, 3 days of no wind. But as I run the grip files forward in time, it just literally fills in
in front of us. And it looks like, if the forecast is correct, we're actually going to have wind through the entire doldrums from now on. So just some fluke, we've managed to find a time where it just opens up in front of us, and there's a good chance we'll be able to sail. The bad thing is that all of the models are saying that there's going to be rain, squalls and rain, right through till when we're past the equator. So these things are just going to hit us one after the other. Right now we're looking pretty good, but you can see on the horizon all of these dark, cloudy, squally spots. They're going to be coming and going for the next 3 days, maybe even 4. So mixed results, some good news and some bad this morning here on Parlay Revival.
So guys, Steven's downstairs and he's my murder mystery. My location was Port Beam and my item is our pickles.
You've got 2 pickles in your pocket?
Yeah. One for Steven and one for me. Alright, so he just has to take the bait.
I started to keep a log of some of the stats from our trip, and one of them was how many squalls we hit. And I stopped counting because we've just been in one, out of another, in one, out of another. But we've got one forming right in front of it. Well, that has formed, we're approaching it. So this is what they look like on the radar. This at night has been an absolute godsend because obviously it's pitch black. So I don't actually know how we managed to navigate for 5 years without a radar. But to have it now just seems so crucial. There's a traffic jam of squalls.
There's a lineup.
There's a queue. They're all waiting to hit us. That one looks disgusting. All dark and stormy looking. Dark and stormy. This one that we're seeing just on our port side, it's coming straight for us now, but it's not sort of these scattered little red dots. It's a solid red target on there at the moment. So when you're sailing, you're always adapting to the conditions, right? So it was looking like we'd have to bring the code D in and everything like that, but I gave it a couple more minutes and I bared away 20 degrees, and these squalls are going almost parallel with us, but they're going 3 times the speed as us. So as you can see on the chart now, we're not on a collision course. It says no intercept because they're simply just going too fast for us to ever catch up to them. So I feel good about leaving the code D up. We're doing about 5 knots, super relaxed, super easy, and this line of squalls is just coming down beside us. The one to watch now is that one back there. It hasn't turned up on the radar yet, so it's more than 12 miles away. But again, pretty dark and stormy looking. This one's gonna hit us. Okay, let's fill this up. You can see it on the water right there. Classic case of speaking too soon. The squall did a 90-degree turn and came straight for us. As is often associated with a squall approaching, you'll notice a shift in the wind direction as the squall has its own little microclimate affecting the trade wind direction.
Here it comes. Could get wet.
You're dead!
I'm dead. Oh.
Look! You're dead! What is that?
Got him.
It's a pickle.
Lindo! No, leave it! Lindo!
What is it?
I just ate the pickle.
Yeah, not sure why I A, was surprised that Lindo did that, and B, found it so amusing.
Shower time, baby. It's raining. We gotta save water. We gotta use water.
Oh,
Shower
nice.
time.
Oh, dude, it's freezing.
Freezing? What are you talking about? We're almost to the equator. It's probably 80 degrees.
Oh, God. Tailbags are. Oh, this is nice, man. This is natural shower in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. This is beautiful. Now we're living.
Getting in there?
I'm on watch.
I got him. He's dead. He's dead.
She's like, come with me to the trampoline in the front and hold this trash can. She's like, why would we hold the trash can in the rain on the trampoline while I'm scrubbing the deck? So I was like, no, you cannot kill me.
It was so close. It was so close.
Which means it wasn't, but good.
I think it counts.
This is why Parlay has the most epic solar panel arch right here. It's the diving board.
So remember how I set a goal of not motoring the entire way to French Polynesia? Well, we'd completely run out of wind and the boat was doing less than 1 knot. So instead of being miserable about it, we all jumped in for an incredible deep sea swim in the middle of the Pacific Ocean.
That's some of the clearest water you'll ever see.
When at sea for weeks on end, it's the little moments like this which bring the crew together and keep morale high. And just another reason why it's so important for us to surround ourselves with good, positive people. And I couldn't be happier with this motley crew of misfits.
Watch out, Dave! You nearly went under the boat!
Thanks for watching, guys, and see you next Sunday where we celebrate sailing across the equator. Something that no one except myself had ever done before, which meant some serious punishments were in order.
And here comes the best part. Oh no, no, bucket!